Hi, this is Elizabeth Montgomery, inviting you to stay tuned for Bewitched.
All right, and we are back. Retro Myrtle Beach guy. We're gonna do another little edition here of classic television for millennials. Seemed to be something y'all enjoyed, so we're gonna hop around. I'm not just gonna do like episode 2 of I Dream of Jeannie. So we're gonna jump to one of the most ridiculous episodes of Bewitched ever. It's been a long time since I've watched this one, but I remember roughly how it goes, so this will be kind of a refresher for both of us here. But this is Warlock in the gray flannel suit. It's featuring Alonzo, one of the weirder warlocks of the Bewitched universe. He's a hippie.
I don't trust hippies. They talk about free love, but when it comes time to get down to business, they've always got an excuse.
Just toast, honey. Things are really piling up at the office.
So yes, this is a later season. And of course, the first thing you notice, Dick Sargent playing Darren Stevens. Anyone who knows me knows I'm a Dick York man. I strongly prefer the Dick York seasons.
There was 2 Darren Stevens, right? Dick York, Dick Sargent. Yeah, right, as if we wouldn't notice.
But, you know, hey, what can you do?
We have a chance of closing on the Monticello carpet account.
So we have Endora stopping by, everyone's favorite mother-in-law. Her outfits, man, it definitely is a time period. There's a specific time period that Endora fits in very specifically here.
Why, Durwood, I didn't know you cared. Mother.
Endora, would you kindly give us some warning when you're coming by sending something ahead of you that's not so frightening? Like a dragon?
Darren!
And honestly, the thing about Dick Sargent is he just seems mean. Like, Dick York had that, like, lanky, goofy, like, you know, goofball aesthetic with him, but Dick Sargent just seems like a jerk. Like, all he does I ever see is him yelling at Samantha or being mean to Samantha. I really don't get it. The casting was bad, man. Dick York was so much better.
Endora, I am officially informing you that you are trespassing here.
Darren!
So now we find out that Samantha's cousin named Panda is getting married, and Samantha wants to go to the wedding, and they're should go to the wedding, or whatever. Obviously, Darren doesn't want her to go because it's something she might enjoy herself doing, and Darren is just a jerk.
My cousin Panda's getting married.
It would be a disgrace if Samantha missed the wedding. They were very close as children.
It's out of the question. Endora!
Mother, that's not funny.
He treats you like a prisoner, you might as well look like one.
I am not a prisoner in this house.
Powers of day, powers of flight, bring Alonzo here, into my sight.
So Endora, having felt she's lost the argument here, runs off to summon Alonzo, the hippie warlock.
Endora, baby, this is a pleasant surprise.
So we got our first look at Alonzo and his whole getup, which classic, you know, 60s or I guess early 70s hippie. The afro, the beard, all just kind of wobbling around and everything. Now the funny thing is the actor is Bernie Koppel. We know Bernie Koppel from Love Boat. He was a doctor on Love Boat. Siegfried, Get Smart's Siegfried, the leader of chaos. It's cool, actually, is when I was young, my dad took me to a convention. It had the old dude from Lost in Space, a few other people, but actually Bernie Koppel's one of the few people who was there, and I have an autographed photo of him as Siegfried on there. I gotta try to dig that up, but I do have it somewhere. It's one of my prized possessions.
Alonzo, you look perfectly disreputable.
Well, thank you. I'm just doing my thing.
And I don't know what this, like, junkyard gang, like, it sounds like a character from Heathcliff that he's trying to, like, channel in this. Like, the accent, I don't know what he's doing.
The fact is, Durwood's job is preventing Samantha from attending Panda's wedding. Your job will be to unjob Durwood.
If Cushman buys these concepts for his carpets, we have a good chance of landing all the other Monticello products.
So then we get over to McMahon and Tate, and Larry's giving him a rundown of their new clients. So now this is something that I always bring up too, is the odd connections between Bewitched and Mad Men. They're very similar shows, even though they don't intend to be. Darren obviously works in McMahon Tate in a advertising agency. It's pretty much the same show. Pretty blonde wife. Boss with white hair and a mustache who drinks a lot and is goofy. And there's just so much about it. To me, it's basically a carbon copy. And that said, if Mad Men's supposed to be based on a true story...
Larry, do you know when you talk about money, your eyes light up?
Again, Larry is just literally the boss from Mad Men. Like, there's almost no difference between these characters.
Of course, I'm a greedy person.
And the sets look so similar. And the costume.
Mr. Tate.
Yes, Betty?
Excuse me for interrupting, but there's a man out in the reception room, and I can't seem to get rid of him. He's pretty weird.
Just then, the secretary alerts them that there is a hippie in the building. Alert, there is a hippie in the building.
Oh? Well, relax, Betty.
Well? Very well. And you?
What is it you want?
Even though it's what he'd hate. Now all I say appeals to Tate.
So as much as I may loathe hippies personally, having been raised by them and surrounded them most of my youth, the coolest thing about Alonzo is, you know, everyone has their standard thing. Samantha with the nose wriggle, and Dora does the whole laugh thing. Dr. Bombay, they all have their own way of summoning their magic. Alonzo has an Ankh cross, so he like points the Ankh at whoever. So I guess he's got like black power. It's so weird, but I love it. I love the Ankh. It's a super funny, you know, thing. If you remember in the Bewitched movie, she would tug on her ear, and that's how she would do it. And it wasn't until the end, I think, that she wriggled her nose. What a terrible movie.
Why don't we step into our office, Mr.
My name's Alonzo.
Alonzo?
He does the unthinkable. This hippie tries to get a job. This is how you know this is a fantasy-based show.
Oh, man, what a bad scene. What this agency needs is to radically modify its advertising concepts. What you need is words with inner meaning, words that sing and are in tune with universal vibrations.
Universal vibrations?
Just disappears into the role, man. The most authentic portrayal of hippies I've ever seen.
Words that sing. Now that grabs me.
Mr. Tate, I'm a philosopher and a poet. Words are my bag. I can tune your advertising copy to the rhythm that beats through every...
Just to get it through y'all's, like, perceptions, this is what your parents thought cool people were like. They wanted to be like this guy. I thought he was cool.
Cosmic drum. Can you dig it?
I can.
And that's why our economy's in the States in.
Alonzo, are you familiar with Monticello carpets?
Now, wait a minute, Larry. We're all set with our ideas for Monticello.
It can't hurt to hear what this young man has to offer.
So after a little bit of bebop skedat, the hippie has entranced Larry Tate, and so whatever ideas he has, Larry's gonna think that they're just the best ideas ever. It's unbelievable. You know, which is okay. Motorcycle inside an office building, sure. A hippie trying to work, though, I still...
He's got it. I hope it's not contagious.
Alonzo goes on to babble a bunch of hippie nonsense, and Larry just eats it up.
All I can say is this is in tune with the human pulsations of all mankind, and you gonna feel it throughout your whole being.
Like...
Flirpity flirp.
Flirpity flirp. That's the campaign that he comes up with for Monticello carpets and drapes or whatever. Flirpity flirp. It's supposed to, what is it? In tune with all the vibrations? What did he say?
This is in tune with the human pulsations of all mankind.
Flirpity flirp.
I didn't say flirpity flirp.
I said flirpity flirp.
Now, how do you think Larry is going to respond to this this campaign idea?
Okay, Larry, now what do you think of your...
Bravo, bravo!
And then, yeah, back to the yoga for more ideas. Obviously, Darren is very perplexed by not only this random hippie on a motorcycle in his office that's been saying nonsense. I don't know how after time he doesn't start to figure out. Like, gee, I bet witches are in some way, you know, involved here.
Just because a guy has a lot of hair doesn't mean he's a genius. And because he stands on his head and says, doesn't mean he's a philosopher. Believe me, there are deeper thoughts in fortune cookies.
Darren, I know you mean well. And I realize that you feel your position at McMahon and Tate is being threatened by a talented newcomer. But there is no...
I'm beginning to think there is more to this newcomer than meets the eye.
There you go.
Excuse me, I've got to make a call.
Hello?
Sam, your mother, the Wicked Witch of the West, has struck again.
What happened?
She sent some freak named Alonzo in here with a lot of weird ideas and apparently put a spell on Larry to love them all.
One thing you can say about my mother, she's a mother-in-law.
The one thing I can say about your mother is censorable.
Hummingbird and dragonfly wings. Palm and Borrego Springs, Timbuktu and Irish stew, wherever you are, let's hear from you. Mother!
That's a good device there, right? Come on, that's classic.
Mr. Tate, I've got it, the absolute ultimate, the jewel in the bud of the lotus.
Words that sing?
Not this time. Now, white is the symbol of purity, of flawlessness, of transcendental beauty.
A blank page? That's where I start my ideas.
And then clutter them up? What do you think, Mr. Tate?
Far out.
And how is anybody going to identify this with the product?
Well, the card isn't really blank.
Monticello carpets.
Alonzo, we're going to present these ideas at the meeting this afternoon.
I'll tell you, that one actually isn't bad. Legit. So, you know, I've worked in marketing and advertising and stuff like that. My father ran an advertising firm that his father ran before him, and literally, like, what these guys are doing right now, like, that's my grandpa like back in the day. Like he's Darren Stevens' age. So, you know, that was what was going on then. And then my great-grandfather, too, started the thing. So I've been advertising a long time, my family. That's a good idea. Completely blank page with really small print with the name of the company. It forces you to look at it. That doesn't take magic for Larry to think that one's a good idea. I'm just throwing it out there.
Larry, the ideas that this weirdo is coming up with are nothing.
A typical reactionary comment.
Yeah, Darren's a reactionary.
If you know so much, maybe you should find yourself a nice little empty office and start your own agency.
I think I'll go and have a drink of lunch.
The good old days, right? When you could tell your boss that you're gonna go have some scotch on your lunch break. So we find Darren drinking scotch at the bar. And of course his wife just magically appears and no one seems to notice.
Hi.
Sam,
Exactly how did you leave things with Larry?
he practically dared me to open my own agency.
Why don't you?
Sam convinces him to play Michael Scott Paper Company.
What's more, there is a vacant office right across the hall from McMahon and Tate.
Literally a Michael Scott Paper Company. He's moving into the office right across the hall.
Now, for your sign, something distinguished but not too small.
Right? It's the Michael Scott Paper Company.
U-G-L-Y. You ain't got no alibi, you ugly. Ho, ho, you ugly. You mama say you ugly. Hey, go Michael Scott Paper Company.
Incidentally, that's 24 karat gold.
How'd you get it done so fast?
Darren's a fast worker. I ought to know.
Is that a 15-minute man joke? Is she bragging about his speed?
I don't think you'll be able to transact much business in an empty office.
Nice, isn't it?
Mr. Cushman.
Oh, hello, Mr. Cushman.
Hello, Stevens.
Mr. Cushman,
May I present my wife, Samantha?
How do you do, Mr. Cushman? It's a pleasure to meet you.
Mr. Cushman.
I've always admired your husband's tastes in advertising, and now I see he shows the same good taste in choosing a wife.
How do we know this guy? Is it Green Acres? Andy Griffith? Petticoat Junction? Mr. Cushman, Charles Lane. Man, this dude was on everything. Back to the 50s. Dobie Gillis, I Love Lucy, Perry Mason, Twilight Zone, Surfside 6, Maverick, Mr. Ed, he was Charlie Foster, Dennis the Menace, he was Lawrence Finch, Andy Griffith Show, Mr. Frisbee, Get Smart, Uncle Abner. On The Munsters, he was on The Ghost and Mr. Chicken. He was on F Troop. Man from U.N.C.L.E. Gomer Pyle, USMC. Green Acres, Mr. Wilson. Petticoat Junction, Homer Bedlow. Flying Nun. Aristocats, Beverly Hillbillies, Foster Finney, The Odd Couple, Rhoda. And he keeps going. This dude was in movies and TV shows up until 2015.
I guess I better see if I can cancel out Alonzo's powers of persuasion.
Sam?
I guess Samantha goes into, like, witch mode or something?
Right here, sweetheart.
Philosophical concepts of modern Zen to advertise, and those who see the ads will feel a real compulsion to buy the product. In this case, Monticello carpets.
This is so creepy. I love it. She's just like hovering invisibly over them.
An enormously exciting approach.
Zen in advertising? Well, this business is cracky. Who knows? Flirpity flirp? Those aren't even words.
It's a seductive sound of bare feet on a carpet. Groove on it. Pretty soon you're gonna feel the universal vibrations. Woo!
So Samantha has blocked, I guess, his magic. So now both of them are just looking at him like, what the hell is this? Why did I think this was a good idea?
And they gonna touch you.
Uh,
There's a witch in here.
A witch?
What's this guy on?
I can sense it. I can feel it.
Speaking of Darren, I think I'll just flow across the hall and meet with him.
No. I would hardly recommend Darren. I mean, I would heartily recommend Darren.
Wall-to-wall love. Monticello carpets.
It's simple, has a certain elegance, and tells a story.
What do you think, Mrs. Stevens?
Well, I'm prejudiced, but I love it. Don't you think?
Yeah, but I'll let Larry stew a while before I give in.
so yeah, he's basically just doing, again, it's the Michael Scott Paper Company. He's just gonna get bought out or whatever, go back and work for McMahon Tate and bring his clients with him.
How does this sound? McMahon, Tate, and Stevens.
It sounds great.
Well, one of these days, if you keep out of any future trouble, that's the way it's going to read.
And yeah, they'd settle with Larry dangling a partnership in front of him, and then somehow even witchcraft can't convince him to loose the pocket strings even the slightest bit. So yeah, late season Bewitched, interesting, but you definitely get the colorful characters as time goes on. You get more of your Dr. Bombays and whatnot, so definitely an interesting episode, and great to see Bernie Koppel. I mean, he's a crazy actor. Good times, decent episode. But yeah, what can I say? Until next time.
I tried. It just proves that where Larry is concerned, even witchcraft has its limits.
Just because a guy has a lot of hair doesn't mean he's a genius.